New Zealand Dairy Farmer is proudly brought to you by Hanson Products, providing Kiwi farmers with water system solutions for over 50 years. This week, New Zealand Dairy Farmer is in Omaha to talk to John Williams. John and his wife Martha have a small 50-hectare property about 90 minutes north of Auckland. Having experience in shearing, dairying and lately calf rearing, John is also heavily involved with the local council's initiative to plant his property in native trees.
John, tell me a bit about how you came here. You're originally from Wales, aren't you?
Yeah, that's correct. I came to New Zealand in 1978. I was a sheep shearer, and that was my first year here, and sure for 20 years, and so I started rearing calves when I was shearing, and then we graduated onto this farm here about 17 years ago.
And so when you were able to move here from your smaller property, you went into dairying at that stage?
Yes, yeah, believe it or not, I actually didn't want to go milking cows. It's, I actually did an agricultural degree a long time ago, and so, I had the knowledge, but I didn't really figure on milking cows, but really on a place that's only 50 hectares, that was the only solution, really.
And what length of time were you milking cows for? I know there were some management changes over that period of time. You moved to once a day milking, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we were milking twice a day for about seven years, and then we switched to once a day, so twice a day then.
And what was the main reason for making that switch?
Yeah, there were several reasons. The twice a day on this farm here was a pretty, believe it or not, it was just a bit of a high stress environment, and so probably lifestyle was probably the major reason. And then from there it sort of snowballed, and then it was very successful for this farm and for us, from a stock point of view, and financially was very lucrative.
And what about any other changes with going to once a day milking? Was there any effect on somatic cell counts?
Yeah, you initially get a bit of a spike, but you've just got to chip away at it, and then you can select your bulls for once a day. And I think in our last season, I think we averaged about 70,000. 70,000 somatic cell count for the season.
And what happened with milk production? That dropped back?
You certainly get a reduction in production. I think it probably was at least 10%. But financially, it's nothing in it.
Recently, John and his wife Martha decided on a dramatic change in the way they worked the farm.
This is our first full season not milking on this farm. Yeah, the reason for the change, probably the major reason, we lost a bit of lease land that I had for a long time, and it just, became a bit small, and my time of life and the cycle of the dairy industry and everything, we decided to, have a bit of a life change. So sold the herd. They went down to Turco, and the heifers went to Te Pora. I'd kept 25 of the old girls, so we put them through the shed, milked them, and then we reared 120 Frisian bulls, and then did 120 odd white faces.
Right. So you were rearing your own calves before that when you were milking?
We've always reared 70 or 80 calves. I always used to rear my own replacements and a few beef. So, we always quite like the calf rearing.
And so what did it take to move into that system on a larger scale? Did you have to build other facilities, or you already had sheds and so forth?
Yeah, we had sheds, but we just adapted one of the wintering barns. And, like typical me, it was sort of behind the 8 ball, and we were planting trees as well and rearing calves. So me and Martha were sort of getting stressed out for about 5 or 6 weeks until we got up and running, and but it went well. I think we lost one calf out of 240, and that was one of our own calves. So it went well.
John and his wife Martha have done a lot of work fencing off native bush and riparian planting. They've worked closely with Auckland Council to complete some of this planting with council staff and volunteers, but have completed most of it themselves.
Tell me about how you got involved in all the planting around your property.
Yeah, I think the initial contact was made by Vanessa Vusic from the Auckland Council. She actually put my name forward to a consultant that was employed by them, Kerry Pierce, and he phoned me.
So that was your spur to get involved in planting on a larger scale, or had you been doing a bit of planting before then?
We'd done an initial planting about 10 years ago now, and I think that was, people, the council were aware of that, so they thought I would be receptive to do some more planting.
Tell me about the numbers of natives that you've been planting on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, we've been doing the last 4 years, I think 2 hectare plantings a year, which is about it's about 10,000 plants really. Last winter, because we're not dairying and sort of the income sort of gone down a bit, we actually planted a whole lot ourselves. And together with calf rearing, that was probably too much of a challenge.
You're in a pretty special farming location here, right under Mount Tamahanga, aren't you?
Yes, that's true. The mountain at the background here is probably one of the reasons that we bought the farm.
And you've always had trampers going up Mount Tamahanga, but now with the Te Araroa walkway, those numbers have increased?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's sort of, I think it's 12 years ago, there was no access to the bush through this farm. And we actually put in a public walkway, via an easement, simply because, the public need access. It's a great resource.
What sort of comments do you get from some of the trampers who you come across coming down the walkway to the car park, which is right next to your house?
Yeah, we get very favourable comments. Oh, yeah, you're the person that owns that nice little farm, nice little dairy farm. And yeah, it's ongoing really. Saw a guy, believe it or not, he's a principal of the local college, and saw him in Mitre 10. And he said, you do a great job of looking after that land, and so those things do hearten you. It's all good stuff.
Coming up later in the show, John discusses some of the environmental issues facing dairy farmers today.
Whoever coined the phrase dirty dairying, it certainly stuck, didn't it?
And after the break, we talk to Vanessa Vusic about some of the council initiatives involved with dairy farming.
Yeah, there's a lot of focus, I guess, on protection of waterways at the moment, particularly in the dairy industry. And we work quite closely alongside Fonterra with their sustainability advisors in helping with that support for farmers.
New Zealand Dairy Farmer is proudly brought to you by Hanson Products, providing Kiwi farmers with water system solutions for over 50 years.